Yes, people, what is going on? Liverpool 0, Brighton 1. And do you know what? This sounds a little bit stupid, but I actually saw this coming, which is why I've been honest, I've been on FaceTime to my girlfriend, but I know many of you probably can't believe I've got a girlfriend, neither can I, to be honest. But I saw this kind of result coming. Obviously, the obvious thing to talk about is the massive injury list for Liverpool, and the keeper obviously being out as well. He's out for illness, plus everyone they're already missing. As Liverpool's situation, it's gone from bad to worse in recent weeks, but it is what it is. You know, it's one of those things. It's just a classic game of football. But I really wanted to make this video for the reason because I saw a lot of things that I see with Chelsea a lot. Obviously, you know, I'm a Chelsea fan. If you don't, then hey, I'm a Chelsea fan. Here we are. But I looked at this game and I thought, this is exactly the same as Chelsea. Keep the ball, 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 but we ain't putting it in the back of the net. And that's exactly what happened with Liverpool tonight. And everyone go, oh, Liverpool probably played quite well in certain spells, bearing in mind, of course, they did have injury problems and whatever. But they still had a pretty strong squad. I mean, it is still only, of course... Oh, that's a terrible graphic they've got on there. It is still, of course, that there is a little bit of the injury tax and whatever you've got to throw into it, and not having Alisson. And, you know, there's genuine reasons for why they lost this game, but there was what they really lacked, which is a bit nuts coming from, you know, Liverpool, is match winners, someone that was really going to grab it by the, you know, grab it by the balls and go for it, which is something that really surprised me. When you've got someone like Salah, you've got someone like Firmino, various different people, Shaqiri even, him at moments, he can be able to just dig out a long shot from somewhere, or just dig out a low driven shot that gets a deflection, goes in your favour. Those things do happen, but exactly the same thing happens with Chelsea all the time. We've got the likes of a Werner who can win a match, a Pulisic, a Mount, various different people. Even last year, Willian and you know, we've had people, but we've struggled to put the ball in the back of the net. And obviously under Tuchel and whatever, or Tuchel, or Tuchel, as Lewis seems to want to say, why I don't know. It's the same problem that's going around and around and around, and maybe it's just because it is this time of year. Let's not take anything away from Brighton. They defended very, very well, and give credit where it's due. They put in a great performance. And as Alzate, yeah, to get there out, Stefan Alzate, 56th minute, the goal went in. It was pretty much perfect game plan from them. It wasn't the best game of football I've ever seen in my life, but I'm just going to read through some of the stats here because it's a bit nuts. As full time just hits on Google stats anyway. 64% possession for Liverpool, 36 for Brighton, and Liverpool had one shot on target all game. Now, they may have had ones that are blocked and whatever, which is, again, credit to Brighton's defensive work, but you've had 11 shots, one on target. Brighton had 13 shots with only 36% possession and 4 on target. You're asking for trouble. You're asking for trouble, and it sounds maybe a little bit simplistic and a little bit obvious, but it is something that I think a lot of fans are missing at the moment, is these kind of teams have got the ability at the moment, because they aren't necessarily playing European games in the coming weeks and whatever, plus already having played less games this season, obviously with commitments in cups and European competitions and whatever. They have got the ability to just put all their efforts into defending, and, you know, every right to them. I mean, fair play, that's part and parcel of the Premier League. But I think there's a lot of people that realistically, for big teams, are expecting them to be able to go and break down certain teams like Brighton. But this isn't the first time this has happened. Tottenham lost to Brighton. Fair play to them, you know, that... Fair play, just fair play. And then on the flip side of it, you've also then got Liverpool earlier on in the season. They lost to Brighton as well. So Brighton have taken 6 points off of Liverpool, which is insane. It's absolutely insane. It just highlights the fact more to me that a team that would beat someone like Brighton on a game like this is Man City. And as much as I don't like to admit it, Man City would probably have wiped the floor with Brighton. Obviously, they didn't play tonight, so we'll never know exactly. But that's the kind of thing that wins the league, is 2 decent performances against a Brighton, where now, if it comes down to a couple of points, well, Brighton have just taken 6 off Liverpool in a matter of, I think it was 6 weeks, 7 weeks, whenever the last time they played, which is nuts. Looking at the table here, literally just popped up perfectly as I want to talk about it. Man City have played 1 less game and could end up 10 points clear of their title challengers Liverpool, and then 6 clear and 8 clear of Man United and Leicester, which is nuts. But Chelsea now, with a game in hand over Liverpool, of course it is against Tottenham tomorrow, so we've still got to be able to deal with that. Chelsea and Tottenham, both on 33 points, could end up only 4 points behind them. and apparently we're out of the top 4 race and all sorts of stuff. So it just proves that the quality of the Premier League is massively there, massively there. And you do have to consider these things. You do have to consider these things, because teams like Brighton, old school Brighton, where they pretty much would have turned up and, whether you like to say it or not, probably would have rolled over. They don't do that anymore. That don't happen. And fair play to them and Alzate for getting the goal. It was a bit of a weird one. It wasn't clean. It just kind of ended up in the back of the net. It was a bit bizarre. If you saw the game, you'll know what I'm on about. Crossed into the box, and it was just kind of stab it, see where it goes, and it went in. But yeah, it's a bit nutty that a game like this can happen on a weekly basis. And it's happened twice this week. It's happened twice in a couple of days, Sunday to Wednesday, where Brighton have done top opposition 1-0 from basically playing the exact same way, and fair bloody play to them. But this is the thing I worry about slightly with Chelsea, is this, it's all good keeping the ball and whatever, but again, the one stat that matters is the one that's up in the top corner, the one that's up in this corner, wherever it be. It's the score. That's the thing that would matter. And game winners, you know, someone like old school Drogba or whatever, Lampard, hit a long strike, or, you know, get a little bit of separation and flick on a header or whatever, that wins you a game of football like this. Just a bit stale and a bit and whatever. And maybe this game like this ends up 2 or 3-0 in your favour if you've got those big players. But I think a lot of clubs, it's something I want to kind of highlight, a lot of big clubs have struggled with just how many fixtures there are. All teams are struggling, of course, but the big clubs, the ones that are in European competition, have struggled a hell of a lot more than others have with dealing with squad depth and injuries and various different things. It's all a bit nuts, and I'm not going to give Liverpool every single excuse in the world, but they have been hit by injuries and plagued by injuries pretty much since the start of the season. Obviously with Van Dijk, who I saw got included in their Champions League squad, so they assume he's going to be back before the end of the season, or they might have just named him if they make the final or something like that. But yeah, no, it's a bit of a strange one, but in this year, that is the Premier League, there's a lot of pressure being put on various different teams, Chelsea being one of the main ones. But teams like Leicester, teams like Everton, teams like Wolves, who, I mean, the last two haven't got any European involvements. Leicester have, but to be fair, pretty much cruised through their group. These teams can come and do something. These teams can pop up, and it's because of the likes of Brighton that are going, well, one big result against the Liverpool changes our season. Now they've got 2 ginormous, absolutely ginormous. And we played Brighton the first week of the season, and it was a 3-1. And I think loads of people just kind of went, oh, well, it's what Chelsea should have been doing with the money that they spent. But actually, now, in hindsight, it's actually seemed like quite a good result, because if it would have been different circumstances, Chelsea could have come away from that game with 3 points less. So yeah, it's just my kind of reaction that everything is so nutty in the Premier League at the moment, and these kind of things do happen, and they're not uncommon, unfortunately. They've happened literally 3 times or so, and also with Sheffield United the other, was it last week, I think, it's Man United as well. These things can happen, and you've got to put the ball in the back of the net. You can play all the nice passy football, but match winners, that's what I think people are needing, and when you've been asked to do it on multiple times, multiple occasions throughout the season in such a short space of time, like some of the top players are, they're struggling. But look, that's the Premier League for you. That's the level you've got to step up to, even in these weird times. You've got to be able to step up. So yeah, just my instant thoughts, my instant reaction. If you do like these videos, then please do make sure you like, share, and subscribe. They're a little bit different, but, you know, just my honest thoughts about a game of football that I've watched. Want to be doing these more often. Obviously, you can't do them all the time, but I'll try and do as many as I can. So, for now, take care, stay safe, make sure you subscribe. See you later.